At this time, I will call this meeting to order. I would ask you to all please join me rising and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to announce that all public sessions of the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners are electronically recorded, filed, and posted to the website for public access. At this time, I would ask our township manager just to briefly review our virtual and public meeting rules.
Thank you. The meeting rules are as follows. Courtesy of the floor for non-agenda items will be at the beginning and end of the agenda. Public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. For all listed agenda items, the board president will call for courtesy of the floor prior to the Board of Commissioners taking action on that specific agenda item. For in-person attendees, please raise your hand to be recognized, then move to the podium when directed. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record and may then proceed with asking your question. For those participating virtually, please mute your microphone or telephone to avoid any background noise that may cause interference in the meeting. The chat box feature will be active throughout the meeting. If you have a comment or question, please type your full name and address into the chat box. The staff member monitoring GoToMeeting will then unmute your microphone and you will then have the opportunity to comment or ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Moving on to agenda items. Our first agenda item this evening is to discuss and possibly appoint an individual by resolution to fill one current Board of Commissioners vacancy as a result of the resignation of Michael Wolk. Just for the record, for those that may be on virtually and here in person, our board did accept the resignation of Michael Wolk at our meeting on November 2nd. We then began the process to fill the vacancy by advertising a legal notice in the newspaper, which was also posted to the township website, announcing a 2-week application period. Applications were accepted via email, U.S. postal mail, or hand delivery to the township. 2 submissions were received by the township by the deadline of 4 p.m. on November 16th. The board advertised and held a public meeting to conduct interviews with a virtual link for public access on November 21st. We interviewed 2 applicants, Richard Ware and Jacob Roth. At this time, I want to thank both individuals for submitting an application, for giving of their time to interview with our board, and for their willingness to offer themselves to serve our community as a commissioner. At this time, I will now open the floor to our commissioners to begin the nomination process. Do I hear a nomination to fill the vacant position of South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners? And David Kennedy hear us also? Okay. Is there a nomination this evening?
President Kelly, hearing no response, I will nominate Jacob Roth, and I would like to add some comments for my reason for doing that when you believe it's appropriate.
Of course, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second on the floor. I'll open to discussion, and Commissioner Osborne, you go ahead first.
Thank you. First of all, President Kelly, as you had mentioned, I'd also like to thank the 2 candidates who applied for this vacancy. It's a very important one. And I believe both candidates believe that it is important for them and our community for them to have stepped up as they did. They applied with very different resumes, life experiences, and areas of interest. And I noted that. I did like Richard Ware's interest in capital projects because I believe from an economic point of view, capital projects, the support of them is a good investment and ultimately reduces the expenses in the township. So I really like that aspect. In this case, though, at this time, I favor Jacob Roth as the appointee for 2 specific reasons. One is Jacob emphasized policy as a main focus in his candidacy. I believe policy is the best way for the BOC, the Board of Commissioners, to fulfill our responsibility to our constituents. It gives them, our constituents, staff, our board, and future boards a roadmap to professionally and consistently apply written standards, keeping ambiguity and arbitrary and political influences to a bare minimum. I believe that is so important, especially at the local level where we have control of the policies that we enact. Jacob also spoke of transparency. I believe it is the responsibility of every commissioner to know, understand, and apply the Sunshine Law in every circumstance in the execution of our law of our oath of office. I believe Jacob expressed that view, maybe not in those many words, but I believe the sentiment that I heard from him, and those are the two reasons, specific and deep reasons, why I support Jacob's candidacy at this point.
Thank you, Commissioner Osborne. Are there any other board comments at this time? Commissioner Hodges.
I also have a comment in support of Jacob. I first want to thank Mr. Ware for applying. Quite honestly, I was somewhat disappointed that there were only 2 applications. But I am very grateful that these 2 gentlemen stepped up, and I hope to see more of Mr. Ware in the future. I think he has a lot to offer, and I would like to see him more involved and active in our local government. As for Jacob, I can't top what Commissioner Osborne said. He has such a way with words. However, I wanted to add that you have been at just about every meeting for the past 4+ years. You're extremely plugged in. I appreciate that. It's good seeing you, and I thank you for your past involvement, and I appreciate you, Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hodges. We have Commissioner Kennedy on virtually. Do you have any comments at this time?
He's having a hard time getting on the call.
Okay.
We're trying to get him on right now. He does have comments.
Is it possible that he could text them to you and we could read it if it's short, or? Or he could call one of our cell phones and I could hold it near the microphone. Or you could do that as well, I suppose. Sorry for the delay, but I'd like to give each commissioner opportunity to speak. Oh, he's calling my cell phone. Hi, Dave. No problem. I'll put you on speakerphone and I'll put you to speak. Okay.
And I seconded the nomination for Jacob Roth. Was basically something that we don't really interview for, but I noticed it with both candidates, and Jacob seemed to shine, and that was for passion. You know, we don't ask questions about passion, but it certainly came through in his interview. And I think I appreciate Mr. Ware coming in for the interview. He had some excellent answers. But one thing I noticed with Jacob, he seemed to have the passion, and that's why I support Jacob 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Well, I'll be the last to speak, but each commissioner has very eloquently and kindly given comments that I would have made, not quite as eloquently as Commissioner Osborne had, but I share the same sentiments. The one highlight that I would bring forth at this time, we interviewed 2 very good candidates who had 2 very different approaches, and the one thing about Jacob Roth on his resume was his history of community service. He is involved with the McCourtney Institute for Democracy Student Advisory Board, the Penn State Lion Caucus, which develops legislative advocacy skills for use in presentations at the Pennsylvania General Assembly. He was involved with the Lehigh County Youth Advisory Board, which helped with youth-based initiatives, including mental health services and school recycling programs. He, this year, submitted an application to our township to serve on our Parks and Rec Board in June and was appointed this fall. And also, he is an Eagle Scout, has achieved that rank, and was given the troop's first BIVEC and Athean Citizenship Award, which is given to a scout who shows leadership and dedication. And during the interview, he shared that he was proud to mentor young scouts. So I'll piggyback on Dave's comment of passion. You demonstrated through your resume as well as your discussion with us during your interview a passion and a willingness to be involved in your community and to serve. And for that reason, I also do support you for this position. So now that all the commissioners have had an opportunity to comment, I'll open the floor if there's anyone here in person or online that would like to make any comment. Now would be the time to do so. Okay, hearing and seeing none.
President Kelly, before you take a vote, may I make one last comment?
Of course.
For transparency purposes, I just wanted to say no other commissioner approached me concerning this appointment, and I did not approach any other commissioner in coming to my decision. So I think it's important to know from a public point of view, I've made my decision independently, and I assume all the other commissioners have as well. This was not, in my experience, something that was done behind the scenes. And I want to make clear about that.
Thank you for that comment. I share that as well. I did not seek the council or poll any commissioners, have no discussions. In fact, I did have a short conversation with our township manager today, and I happened to mention to him that during the application process, I said, I did not even ask you if we had gotten any resumes, and he said none of the commissioners had. So it was a very professional process, and I thank you as our township manager, Tom. The resumes went directly to you. The board was not aware during that 2-week period of how many came in or who they were. We were not aware until the deadline had expired and you had sent an email to the full board at that time.
Correct, and thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Commissioner Osborne, for bringing that forward. I do believe we have endeavored to be as transparent and open to the public as possible, so thank you. Looks like we do have a comment.
There's one comment. Patrick H. Foose would like to make a comment.
Of course. If you just give your name and address for the record, please.
He needs to unmute himself. There he is. There you go.
Thank you so much. My name is Patrick Foose. I live at 4026 Evergreen Road, South Whitehall Township, PA. I would like to state how strongly I support Jacob Roth's candidacy. I've gotten to know Jacob Roth throughout the years, the last 3 years, and every time I had a chance to talk to him, he has articulated himself in such a fashion that he really truly knows the ins and outs of South Whitehall Township, and in particular endeavors to help make the positive change that's needed for the township. And that's why I'm grateful to hear what all my fellow, what my township commissioners had to say about him. It means a lot. Thank you so much, and I yield back my time.
Thank you for your comment.
Commissioner Kelly, just noting the technical aspect of this. Rob, I want to confirm that people can unmute themselves. So when we asked for comments, were they able to do that?
I can unmute them.
Yeah, and then maybe you should ask for comments again, just to be sure.
There
Of
is.
course.
Yeah.
We can ask Dave Kennedy if he would like to try again.
Sure. If there's anyone else who's attending this meeting virtually, if you're not able to speak, please type your name into the chat and we can certainly unmute you if you are having difficulty. We want to allow everyone to have an opportunity. And Commissioner Kennedy, if you're online and you have further comments, try to unmute yourself. And if not able to, you may call my phone again and I can put you through the microphone. Okay, hearing and seeing none, at this time, we have a motion on the floor to nominate Jacob Roth to fill the vacant position of South Whitehall Township Commissioner. That motion has been seconded. We've had commissioner comment and public comment at this time. I will call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Commissioner Kennedy, would you please either text or try to speak your answer?
Commissioner Kelly and Commissioner Kennedy, given the requirements under the Sunshine Act, I would respectfully suggest that if Mr. Kennedy is having trouble with the virtual format right now, he should go back to calling Commissioner Kelly so that it can be on speaker.
I have him right now. David, Dave, would you please give us your vote?
Aye.
Aye. So we have an aye from Commissioner Kennedy. Thank you. So by motion of 4-0, which is a full majority of the board, we have successfully appointed Jacob Roth. Thank you very much. We good? Okay. Very good. Thank you. Moving on to our second agenda item this evening, we have agenda item B, which is to discuss and consider official action to authorize the township solicitor by motion to attend the hearing of the Zoning Hearing Board Appeal 2022-10, which is scheduled for December 1st, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Township Municipal Building, and any subsequent hearings on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as an interested party or objector. And Tom, will you be presenting?
Yes, I will. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Kelly. As noted, respectfully requesting official action by motion to authorize the solicitor to attend the hearing for Zoning Hearing Board Appeal 2022-10, which is scheduled for tomorrow night at 7 p.m. The township may attend as either an interested party or an objector. To give background information on this matter, the appeal of Moyer Construction LLC seeks a favorable interpretation from Section 350-23B of the zoning ordinance, which is uses not specifically listed, similar uses. In that section, the Zoning Hearing Board may determine that a proposed use is sufficiently similar in character and impact to that of a listed use, and the proposed use may be treated the same as the listed use. The applicant seeks to find a favorable interpretation for a sober living residence to be sufficiently similar in character and impact to the permitted use of an assisted living residence, of which is permitted in the R5 zoning district. The subject property is located at 3599 Broadway in the zone R5 medium density residential district. It's at tax ID number 5486434939921. Township takes the position that the proposed use is already provided for within the zoning ordinance in other districts as a treatment center, which is not permitted within the R5 zoning district. Therefore, the provision of 350-23B, which is recited below, would not apply. The full legal argument will be crafted by the solicitor. So the section reads as follows: similar uses. The Zoning Hearing Board may determine that a proposed use is sufficiently similar in character and impact to that of a listed use, and that the proposed use may be treated the same as the listed use.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any board discussion or questions on this matter? Commissioner Osborne.
Thank you, President Kelly. Yes, Tom, I just wanted to clarify. You're asking the board to authorize the township solicitor by motion to attend the zoning hearing board meeting as you discussed, and any subsequent hearings on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. To clarify, you mean specific to this specific case?
Correct.
Not any other future or different cases?
Correct. For example, if it were to be continued and subsequent hearings would need to be held, the solicitor would attend those hearings as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other board comment? Do I hear a motion to proceed with said action?
I will make the motion.
I will second. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other commissioner comment? Any public comment?
The only other comment I had is the recommendation is to do it as an objector. So I would clarify the motion if you're so inclined.
I am so inclined. I think it actually I know sometimes these hearings are fluid and you go from interested party to objector based on the evidence that you hear. But if the opinion of the solicitor's office is that we need to appear as objectors, I certainly support that.
I would as well.
Me as well.
So I will read this. It's a motion to attend the hearing for the Zoning Hearing Board Appeal 2022-10, which is scheduled for December 1st, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Township Municipal Building, and any subsequent hearing on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as an objector. Do we have a motion to proceed? I will second it. Any other board discussion? Are there any public comment at this time? Nothing in the chat. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And our last agenda item is agenda item C, consideration of approval of a resolution appointing an independent auditor to serve as township auditor and conduct the financial audit for the fiscal year 2022. And I'll ask our township manager to also present this item.
Thank you. To give some background information on this request, Article V, Section 503.3.2 of the First Class Township Code as amended permits for the appointment of an independent auditor in lieu of providing for the election of 3 auditors. Chapter 50, Article 2, Section 50-12 of the South Whitehall Township Code of Ordinance provides that the Board of Commissioners shall annually, by resolution, at least 30 days prior to the close of the fiscal year, appoint an independent auditor to serve as the township auditor, which auditor shall, in addition to other duties assigned to he or she by the commissioners, make an independent examination of all accounts and accounting records of the township for the fiscal year then closing. This appointment is to commence on the first Monday of January succeeding the year of appointment, and the independent auditor shall have and possess all the powers and perform all the duties provided for in the First Class Township Code for elected auditors. The township has obtained a proposal from Herbine Company Incorporated to conduct the audit of the 2022 fiscal year starting January 1, 2023. The engagement letter is dated November 28th, 2022. For the general fund, the cost is $27,500. For the authority, it's $17,600. The budget for 2023 does adequately provide for these figures. So in general fund, there's up to $50,000 for auditing services, and then water and sewer combined, there's $18,000. So we did adequately provide for those amounts. So with that, I would seek a motion to approve the resolution in order to align the township with the requirements of both the First Class Township Code as well as your own code.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a motion to approve said resolution?
So moved.
I'll make a second. Is there any board discussion on this item?
I would like to make a comment. Thank you, President Kelly. Tom, I'd like to thank you for making sure that our township is in compliance with the First Class Township Code. I know at times, especially, with some of the past history, this is possibly not an easy thing to do. You don't know where the gaps and holes might be. So I appreciate your attentiveness and your transparency also in bringing this to the board in the form that you have.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate the comments.
I would agree. Thank you very much, Tom. Any other board comment? Any from the public? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move on to agenda item 5, which is courtesy of the floor. If there's anyone here in public or attending virtually who would like to address the board at this time, you unmute your microphone or, okay, from the audience, we have Jacob Roth, our newly appointed commissioner.
Is this on? Okay, perfect. Jacob Roth, 1499 White Oak Road. I just would like to state how deeply honored and humbled I am to be unanimously selected by the board to fill the vacancy. I really look forward to working with all of you. I believe you will find me to be incredibly driven, meticulous, transparent, and most importantly, always dedicated to the best interests of the residents. I'd like to first thank the board for the appointment. I'd like to thank the amazing township staff for all their hard work, led by Tom and Herb. I look forward to getting to know all the township staff and to learning about their passions and their goals, and I will always be there to help the staff implement those goals in any way that I can. I'd also like to thank my friends, my family, loved ones for their constant support and support of me in all of the goals that I've chosen to pursue in my life thus far. I also would like to thank former Commissioner Mike Wolk for his service to the township. Mike and I met for the first time. It was actually 4 years ago this week during both of our times as members of South Whitehall Concerned Citizens. And at the time, Mike really became a mentor to me in terms of community advocacy, and it's an honor to call him a friend. I know we will all miss him, but I wish he and his family the best in their new home in Delaware. And I'll close with this. About 5 years ago, I attended my first Board of Commissioners meeting. At the time, I didn't know much about municipal government. I was just attending because I was concerned about a proposed development near my neighborhood that would have a significant impact on the well-being of me, of my family, and of my friends. But I got involved and I attended that meeting, and I haven't looked back since. As Commissioner Hodges said, I've attended nearly every Board of Commissioners and Planning Commission meeting in the past few years, and I've really taken it upon myself to learn more about how municipal government functions, learn about the documents that the Board of Commissioners and the Township are guided by, and above all else, just to always be attentive and listen to what's going on and serve as a voice for those in our township who for too long felt as though they were ignored. That has always been my goal, and that is certainly something that I will continue to do as a member of the Board of Commissioners. So I'd like to thank each of you again. I'd like to thank the residents of South Whitehall, and I look forward to getting to work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacob. Very, very well said. And we certainly do look forward to welcoming you and working alongside of you and all that you're going to bring to this board. It's a very exciting time for the township. So thank you. Are there any other public comment virtually? Okay, hearing and seeing none. We have no executive session. I need a motion for adjournment. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This motion is adjourned. Thank you.